everyone, and welcome to AT and Accessibility News, Episode 8. I've got some interesting updates this week, so let's get started. Forbes has unveiled the inaugural Accessibility 100 list, highlighting innovation and opportunity. Accessibility is no longer just about ramps and captions. It's a booming hub of innovation, education, and economic potential. According to Forbes, which has released its first ever Accessibility 100 list, the list honors 100 companies and individuals driving progress for people with disabilities across fields like communication, education, mobility, entertainment, and technology. Industry giants like Apple and Google are recognized for their cutting-edge accessibility features, alongside lesser-known innovators revolutionizing everyday life. Marcy Roth, Executive Director of the World Institute on Disability, stressed that accessibility is more than a moral obligation. It's a missed market opportunity when ignored. Quote, "You're leaving money on the table because you're only marketing to 3 out of 4 people," she said. The list also underscores how accessibility advances benefit everyone, from stroller-friendly curbs to closed captions and electric toothbrushes. Forbes assures that no fees were involved in the selection process, and detailed insights on global accessibility trends and list methodology are also available. I will link that article below. Our next story is about how Judy's League rises to defend disability rights amid legal challenges. Judy's League, founded in 2025 by disability advocate Kaylee Brindle, is a diverse task force committed to defending disability rights across the United States, formed in response to the Texas v. Kennedy lawsuit challenging Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. The group draws inspiration from the late Judy Heumann, a pioneer in disability advocacy. Judy's League now works to counteract broader threats to disability protections by organizing and raising awareness to ensure no disabled American is left behind. I will put the Judy's League web address down below. Please go visit. It looks like a great organization. If you need to learn more about 504 and the Rehabilitation Act or the actual Texas versus Kennedy lawsuit, they have that information there as well. And the last story for this week is that advocates warn that H.R. 1 or House Resolution 1 undermines the rights of students with disabilities. A recent op-ed raises concerns about how proposed federal legislation, specifically House Resolution 1, dubbed the One Big Beautiful Bill, could threaten the rights of students with disabilities. The bill would allocate $20 billion in tax credits for private school vouchers, cutting critical funding from Medicaid and other public programs that support students with disabilities. Critics argue that private schools are not required to admit or adequately serve these students, leaving families without accountability and recourse. The author, an attorney and disability advocate, shares a personal story about her 4-year-old son, who was effectively pushed out of a private preschool after being diagnosed with developmental delays. The school demanded the family pay for outside services and failed to adjust its approach to accommodate his needs, a scenario she warns could become more common under the expanded voucher policies. Advocates say the answer is not to weaken the public education through disinvestment, but to fulfill the original promise of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, by investing in inclusive, accountable public schools. The article urges Congress to reject House Resolution 1 and recommit to equitable education for all students. So this week, instead of doing a training of the week, I wanted to give you all a resource. And this one is called What I Wish Someone Told Me When I Was Getting into ARIA. So if you haven't encountered ARIA before, great. It's a chance to learn something new and exciting. If you've heard of it before, it might help. This resource might help you better understand it, or maybe even teach you something new. So these are all the things that the author had wished someone had told him when he was getting started on his web accessibility journey. So this resource will provide a mindset for how to approach ARIA's concept, debunk some common misconceptions, and provide some guiding thoughts to help you better understand and work with it. And he hopes that this article will help make an often overlooked yet vital corner of web design and development easier to approach. So I will have that link below. This is the article here. Yeah, I thought it would be very helpful to post that. He does note that this is not a recipe book for how to use ARIA to build accessible websites and web apps. It's also not a guide for how to remediate an inaccessible experience. So a lot of accessibility work is highly contextual, and he does not know the specific needs of what you're doing. So the advice here could easily do more harm than good. So think of this resource as a know before you go guide. And he's hoping to give developers and designers a good headspace to approach ARIA, as well as highlight things to watch out for when you undertake your accessibility journey. So check it out. So today's AT of the week, we're going to talk about non-slip material. It can be used in a variety of ways. There are many different types. So you have grip tape that you can add on to things. It's actual tape. You peel it, it sticks. You have mats that are pre-made as non-slip mats for flooring and other things. Then you have Dyson material, which most people who work in the disability field know about, or special education at least. Dyson is a non-slip material that you can cut to the size you need. And then there's also things like non-slip mesh that I'm holding here. This is a white one, and it's the ones that have little squares and little holes in between the squares. And then you also have non-slip tips on canes and walkers and things like that. So the uses for these types of non-slip materials are preventing slipping. So it can be slipping of objects. So like it can be used to stabilize items like cutting boards, plates, cups, and even small appliances. And this prevents them from sliding or tipping as someone's using them. And an example I could think of would be, so maybe someone who only has the use of one hand and can't use that other hand to steady things. That's a common use for non-slip materials. And then under rugs as well, where the rug may slide when a walker or wheelchair goes over it. And I think most of us use non-slip material as mats under most of our rugs, or the rug has non-slip material underneath to keep it from sliding around when you step on it. And then we have, let's see, sorry. And then obviously, I mentioned the tips of canes and walkers. You don't want them just slipping and sliding everywhere. You want something that's going to grip, especially when things are wet. And then the grip tape can be used on writing utensils, as opposed to using a pencil grip or adding a grip to a writing or eating utensil. You can actually add the grip tape to it if that's all that's needed. And then you also have doorknobs. You can also add it to doorknobs and electronics like smartphones. So there are many uses for non-slip material. So one use that I use a lot, because I have some issues with my hand and wrists and things, I personally use it quite a bit for opening things, opening jars, bottles of pop, cola, whatever you want to call it. And so that's another thing that can be used. Sometimes and sometimes you can get those little grippy things. I know I've gotten some at conferences in different shapes. Or I have actually grabbed just some of this and this non-slip mesh and used it to open things with. Yeah, if you're having trouble gripping or you've got things slipping on you, this might be a solution. I encourage you to research the different types of non-slip material out there and see if you find something that works for you. I'd like to thank you again for joining me this week. And I want to remind you, this week we'll have our live on Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on YouTube. And then next week I will release a news update. However, I am traveling to Germany on Tuesday, so it will be Wednesday by the time I get there, so I won't have a live next week. We will have to, I'll have to figure out the time change before we can do anything with that over there. I'm only there for 3 weeks. I'm not quite sure where I want to go after that. So if you have any suggestions for where to go, let me know. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you tomorrow at 6 p.m. right here on YouTube. Have a great night.